Bonjour! Welcome to another episode of the Johnny R podcast. I am, as always, your host, Johnny R. From the Red Lake Nation. I come to you on this fine morning in January of 2018. So happy New Year. I hope everybody had an eventful yet trouble-free New Year's. I know not all of you stayed out of trouble, and I'm drinking some tea right now. But that's none of my business. That's not what we're here for. I was just, I'm on homeowner duty right now. I'm at my children's home where we ran into a little maintenance problem. Back in November, I ordered a full tank of propane, but they only gave me 100 gallons. And I didn't realize that because in the past they've always filled me up. So now I'm here trying to make sure the pipes don't freeze. Keep the home warm, as warm as possible, which I was doing all night last night. Excuse me. And I'm here today waiting for propane to show up. And my secondary heating device, my wood stove went out last night. So that's pretty cool too. So I spent all that time building a fire, only to discover that my wood furnace is out. So I'm keeping it res style. I got my oven open. I got a fan on there and a couple space heaters, keeping the home warm until the propane company gets here. So that was my evening, or actually night. I've been here since 5 o'clock last evening, trying to do what I can. You know, got to keep the home fire. Well, I guess there's no home fire to be burning, but we got to keep it warm, you know. So that's what I'm doing right now until the propane company comes to fill me back up. And usually around Red Lake, when propane comes and you have big dogs like I do right now, I have a couple German Shepherds in the front yard that have been known to be quite. They're not friendly, so they bite first, ask questions later. So I had to come contain them while the propane guys or gals fill me up. Hopefully they fill me up, because that's what I ordered today, instead of 100 gallons. But whatever, you know, pipes didn't freeze, so that's good. Home is warm. It's like about 68 degrees in here, so I did my job. I saved my home. Saved my home from wreckage of frozen pipes. But I was kind of paranoid last night, you know, keeping the oven open for heat to keep the house warm. I stayed here last night. Nobody else is around, so I came and stayed here by myself to make sure things went smoothly, make sure the pipes didn't freeze. Kept turning the water on. I was up till about 3:30, 4 o'clock, because I was paranoid. You know, I didn't want the house to burn down. So that's just part of the sacrifice a homeowner makes. You know, not that I was going to go down with the home, but do what I can to prevent it. Because I had my fire extinguisher ready to go just in case. Thank God, or whatever higher power you bow to, that it didn't. So while I was up so late last night, I was on Twitter. You know, I like to scroll. That's where I get most of my news from, is Twitter. You know, Trump is on to something. You know, you could get like unbiased news stories from Twitter. Unlike Facebook, where everything is is trash, you know. So I go to Twitter for most of my news. And while I was on Twitter, I saw Judd Apatow was still tweeting at 2:30 this morning. So I added him. Is that what we call it? Add or mention him? I said, what did I put? Since you're up, why don't you take a look at our documentary we did? You know, Res comedy documentary. Thinking nothing of it, you know, just to throw it out there, see what would stick, you know. So I did that. Told him to check it out. Give me his thoughts if he were to answer me. And a few minutes later, Judd Apatow, you know, producer, director, writer, now stand-up comedian, he said back to me, looks good. I don't know if you're on Twitter, but if you go to my Twitter, at the Johnny R, TheJonnyR, it says looks good. And that was 7 hours ago, which would be about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I don't know what time that would be. But it was pretty early in the morning, late at night. And then I answered back to him, thanks. Hope to have it done by March. Funny People was a huge inspiration for me. So I asked, any tips to get this worldwide? You know, thinking nothing of it. And he replied again. He said, make it great, go deep, be vulnerable, be truthful, be funny. People will seek out authentic and unique stories when the work is strong. All right. So I thank you for that, Judd Apatow, for reaching out to a young film. Well, I guess I'm not young, but 41 years old. I'll be 42 years old in 41 days. So that's pretty cool. 42 years old in 41 days. So I'm not a spring chicken. You know, I'm a little long in the teeth to be called a young filmmaker. But it was pretty cool to see that he replied to me on Twitter. So I'm on his radar. So maybe something will come of it. Maybe he was just being nice, but I take it he saw the trailer we had done. You know, our story is very unique. You know, Native Americans make up 1% of the population of the 300 and some million Americans in the country right now. And we're like about 3 or 4 million strong. So this will be a very unique story, especially Native comedians. You know, full-blooded Native comedians trying to get out and make their name in the comedy business. That's what our movie is about. And so I hope it comes out soon. I've been waiting so long, but March. That's all I heard was March. So that was my night. So I got kind of a little excitement waiting by myself here last night. So that's what I did. But other than that, you know, it was Christmas passed us by. It came pretty fast, man, and we dealt with it. It's not like it used to be, you know. All this, what is it? I don't know. I don't even know the big words. But so many expensive gifts we had to buy our older one. We didn't have to, but we just got one big gift. I don't even remember what we all bought our kids. They didn't ask for very much, which was hopefully a sign of maturity. Mostly we went to the little ones, and we just bought a bunch of little toys. They enjoyed it. They liked Christmas, so that was worth it. But you know, I think about it when I was young, when my mom would take my grandma and grandpa out shopping for Christmas. and I'd be right there. So whatever my grandparents bought me, I'd see it. But they would say at the time, "Oh, that's not for you. That's for whoever else." But I knew what it was. Christmas has me thinking about my grandparents now. Pretty close with my grandpa Shorty, and there were times where we were in. I'm pretty sure it was Kmart. This new WWF. It was called WWF at the time. Wrestling ring came out, and I just sat there, and I figured if I sat there and stared long enough and wished for it long enough, my mom would say, "Okay, hurry up, then grab it so we can go." But that didn't happen because being from a reservation, we don't have all the money to afford the stupid little things a kid would want, not need but want. So it killed me that I couldn't get that wrestling ring at the time because I was a kid, stupid, selfish, want like a kid does. But growing up poor, I don't know if I was poor. Not a lot of the kids I grew up with had everything they wanted. A few of them did, but not all of them. So I never felt poor because of that. To this day, I don't even think I was poor. We always had somewhere to live. It was warm. We had food. We had clothes. We had a vehicle. So, what more could a family want and need? There were struggles, but not as much as others. So, I was fortunate that way. But back to that wrestling ring that I wanted. I needed it. Felt like I needed it to be a true wrestling fan. I was in the Hulkamania days, like mid-'80s, early to mid-'80s, and couldn't afford it. So a couple days later, my grandpa was downstairs in his workbench because he was a handyman. He could build anything out of anything. So after a couple days, he came up. I don't know if he called me down to his wood shop. Said he had something. And he made me a wrestling ring. I don't know how many of you remember the wrestling action figures in the 80s, but the WWF ones had those big rubber, I say about 8 to 10 inches big, those hard rubber action figures, Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy, Iron Sheik, Macho Man. They didn't move. They just stood there, just big rubber things. And there was also, at the time, AWA wrestling, Verne Gagne wrestling. Those action figures were a lot smaller, like maybe half the size of the WWE ones, WWF, whatever. And I also had my G.I. Joe men, which were even, 3 inches, about 3 inches in height. So what my grandpa did was he filed notches where the ropes, which are actual ropes, the rubber band type rope things. He filed in each ring post, grooves in each ring post where it could fit the WWF action figures, the AWA action figures, and then my G.I. Joe action figures. So I could use 3 types of toys for one ring, which was even better than the WWF ring I had. So, my grandpa did that for me because he saw I wanted that, and I don't know if he said to himself, I could buy it, but shit, I could probably make a better one, so I'll do that instead of buying him one, which was a lot better than the WWF ring that I wanted so badly. So, I just the kind of males I had around in my life, male presence. I never picked up on the handyman, I could never build anything. I still can't put shit together. I'm not very handy at all. I'm more of a. I don't even know what I am. I'm 41 years old, and I still don't know what I want to do with my life. Being a social worker, mentally, I don't think I can handle retiring as a social worker. Retirement is what, 25 years away? And I don't see myself doing this for that long. I honestly don't see myself working at anything because I don't know what I want to do yet. And it just has me thinking that I should just quit work and pursue this comedy, man. It's there. But then again, I think, at my age, it is an advanced age, though. They said Rodney Dangerfield went back to comedy at 44 and died a pretty successful comedian doing what he loved. So that's always in the back of my mind. Always. I just want to walk away from the things I read about in the files and what I see on a daily basis. Our own people walking away from their kids because of drugs and alcohol and leaving their kids to not fend for themselves, but not have any family connection because of the choices they're making. And I don't know how much longer I can deal with this. I take this shit home with me, and it's pretty stressful. I have no outlet. I don't know I don't know how to deal with all of this, so I'm just keep going. That's all I can do. Just keep going. Getting paid. Pay my bills. It's good to pay bills, even though I'm still struggling money-wise. If I could get comedy gigs, at least 3 times a month, I'd be all right. But I see my other fellow comedians, the big name ones. They're still, they don't have the gigs lined up like you'd think, but there are a couple that are just killing it out there, and I sometimes have the self-doubt is always there, and trying to figure out what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go, what I want to do with what's left of this life. I felt like I missed out on a lot of opportunities because of my immaturity. Like I could have been doing this when I was in my early 20s, But no, I'd rather party and get shit-faced and go to work hanging over and have funny drunk stories to tell, which aren't as cute as they used to be. They're sometimes funny, but when you hear people talk about the shit you did as a stupid drunk, it's not all it's cracked up to be anymore. I don't want my kids to think of me like that. Hear stories about me being drunk and stupid, but what you gonna do? Gotta make move eventually, I suppose. No spring chicken, but I got a lot of getting some feedback on Twitter lately. A lot of mentions and comments on my posts. So that's good. I need to be praised by strangers. It makes the world go round, But I don't know what else to do. Waiting for these motherfucking propane guys. Hopefully they come soon. But that interview I had with Tatanka Means, that was a lot of fun. My wife and I sitting around visiting with our old friend Tatanka, who I've known for 7 years now. Kept in contact after our first show we ever did together. He throws shows my ways, which is pretty cool. And we're trying to get down to the New Mexico area February. The wife and I want to take a vacation somewhere we've never been, which is a lot of places. So hopefully we can do that. But my wife, she also has a lot of ideas for the podcast, so she'll be coming on a lot more. And she wants to give her a whirl, which is fine by me. It'll be a lot of fun. The bonding, because our stories when we're out and about driving, where I got this one woman told her that every time she sees me and my wife driving, we're always laughing. So I never realized that before, but I suppose it is true, because I'm always trying to just imagine all the stupid things I've said to find one funny thing for her to laugh at. And she laughs a lot. We laugh a lot together. And just imagine all the stupid things, because there are times where she tells me, "Oh, shut up for a while," which, I'm just trying to make her laugh. I'm trying to get a rise out of her, which we've been doing it'll be 24 years in February we'll be together. So imagine all the stupid stuff I have said over 24 years. So what else is there to talk about? I see this story on YouTube. YouTube star is actually a term nowadays, where this 22-year-old YouTube star, quote unquote, went to that Suicide Mountain or something in Japan and filmed a dead body, which this is part of the problem that I don't like with being online all the time. People do anything for the views, They'll hurt themselves, they'll hurt others, they'll be assholes, they'll just be disrespectful just for views. And it's going to keep going. It's going to get worse, because people need attention, like me, need attention to get those views and get that advertising money and monetizing their YouTube page, which I've been doing this for 11 years now, and I still haven't gotten into that, because I don't have time. Maybe I could have been a rich man by now, but I missed that boat. But it's tough. 2017 was tough, man. It really was a test to my mental being, mental health. Went through a lot this year, a lot of struggles, actually last year now. But what you gonna do? Give up? Hell no, I'm not gonna give up. We just gotta keep going, man. Gotta keep going until something clicks. Something will be there eventually. Can't just stop and sit there and cry. Uncle Joe, I don't know. I don't even know where I get most of the way I think. My mother, my Uncle Joe, my stepdad, Mike, my sisters. I don't know if I was born with the way I think or what, but I think too hard sometimes. But whatevs, this is my therapy. So hopefully, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I don't think I said anything in 24 minutes. It feels like my voice, I'm losing my voice. I'm not sick anymore, but I feel raspy. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. I don't drink soda pop anymore. I'm going to quit sugar. I think this is my last cup of tea. So it's just gonna be water from here forth. And I had to eat something fast this morning because I didn't want to miss the propane guys. So I got some spicy popcorn chicken and a tea for brunch, or actually, yeah, brunch, 10 o'clock this morning. So I'm going to feel like shit later. But, thanks to the people that are listening. I know people are on the YouTube page, which is youtube.com/94warriors, the number 94 warriors. And also soundcloud.com/thejohnnyr, I believe is the podcast. And I'm still trying to get on iTunes. And I see on the Christella podcast that there's other, like, what is this called? Stitcher? What is it called? I missed it. And other things. I know Google has a place for podcasts and stuff. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Get on all these. I need some fucking guests. I need some more guests. So hopefully, we get the proper podcasting setup, which my wife said she's going to buy me. Hopefully this week, because she's my sugar mama. Everybody needs a sugar mama, right? What would I do without my sugar mama? Sugar mama. Sugar mama. Now, I got in the rabbit hole of YouTube music last night. And I got into Fleetwood Mac. That one, Rhiannon, Live 76. Holy shit. Have you seen that? YouTube that. Stevie Nicks in her prime. Well, I guess she's always in her prime. Because then the next one I watched was Silver Springs Live in 97. Holy shit, that was intense. The way her and, was it Buckingham or whatever, Lindsay Buckingham and Stevie Nicks were staring at each other at the end of Silver Springs. Ugh, that was so intense. I Google or YouTube that. Fleetwood Mac, Silver Springs Live 97. The last part of that song when they're just staring at each other, singing into each other's eyes. That was I don't think I've ever seen that on stage before. People try to recapture that magic somehow, but it's just not. You'll never. You could just feel that between them, and pretty intense, man. You gotta check that on YouTube. Then I got back into the 90s jams, like New Edition and Brian McKnight, and what else was there? Belle Biv DeVoe, Jodeci, Casey and JoJo when they did Lately. What else was there? PM Dawn. All that stuff when I was in high school. It was music was I think that's the last time I really paid attention to music. Is the 90s. For what a shitty person R. Kelly is, that motherfucker can sing, man. He had quite the jams back in the 90s from I think it was 91 to about 97 or 8. I think that's what right about then I quit listening to music. I quit paying attention. The extent of my knowledge of music was, what I read in magazines at the time, because I grew up without satellite or cable TV. My whole childhood, never had it. The only time I had witnessed cable TV or satellite TV was when I go to my friends' houses, whoever had it. It seemed like everybody had everything that I didn't, but that was fine with me. I didn't care. Whatevs. I turned out all right without cable TV, so did a lot of reading, magazines, not books, just magazines, wrestling, sports, Mad, you know, comedy magazines, Star and Inquirer. I don't know why I read that shit. It was just something to pass the time. But I'm gonna get back into reading again. So to get smart, so I can be a smart man. Learn how to be an intellect. Is that what it's called? An intellect? I don't know. Good luck with all of that. But that's all I have for now. Hopefully we'll be back with some professional gear and a guest. If you have any requests for guests that I could meet with, Red Lake, Minneapolis area, let me know on Facebook, or I think my Facebook fan page is facebook.com/thejohnnyr. YouTube is youtube.com/94warriors. Twitter is twitter.com/thejohnny, or is it at thejohnnyr? TheJonnyR. The Johnny R. It's also my Instagram, which I don't use because that's only for hot people, and I'm like not as hot ever. I've never been hot, but Instagram is for hot people. So that's where I'll be. That's what I'm doing. Still here waiting for propane. Called them an hour and a half ago, and they said they'd be here within 2 hours, so maybe they're outside this whole time, and I was ignoring them, and they got chewed up by my dogs. Let's hope not.